All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series 86 Leader Class Coronation Starscream. Yeah, this is a pretty cool set. Obviously, what this set is basically it comes with Starscream and then a bunch of gear to give him that classic 1986 movie look, where he had the cape and the crown and the big shoulder pads after he thought he killed Megatron and then actually finally had the chance to become the leader of the Decepticons somehow. I don't know why Starscream is the one that won out in the end there. But yeah, basically what this figure is, even though it's being sold as a leader class, the actual figure from the set is a Voyager class. It's just a straight up redo of the Voyager class Earthrise Starscream from a couple of years ago. There are a couple minor differences, but for the most part, it's the same figure. And then what actually allows them to justify it as a leader class is it comes with a bunch of accessories here. First off, it comes with his null rays, which the same null rays that he came with in the Earthrise version. He comes with another set of null rays, which are specifically designed to kind of fit on the shoulder pads. So the peg is in kind of a different place. It's further back, but so he comes with two sets of null rays. He comes with the shoulder pads, obviously, which are pretty cool and very accurate to the movie. He comes with the crown that he wore in the movie. He comes with this cape that sort of similar to the Masterpiece version that came out a while ago, has this double hinge so that it can be a wider cape or a narrower cape, you know, because it's not actually made out of cloth, it's made out of plastic and just sculpted to have that fabric texturing. But that's pretty cool. And then he comes with this throne, which is pretty nice. The throne itself is not, I don't think that he had this throne in that scene specifically. I'm pretty sure that this is like the command chair on the Nemesis, which is, you know, it's a little bit odd because like, not only was that not the chair in the scene, if there even was a chair in that scene, I can't remember. But the Nemesis really wasn't even in that movie at all, I don't think, because Galvatron got his new ship or whatever. But either way, it's pretty much just a generic, you know, Decepticon command chair / throne, and it works pretty well. It's actually pretty solid. This piece, I mean, it's hollow in the back here, but it's pretty well constructed, and it's like I was kind of expecting it to be like, if not like a cardboard accessory, but like something like really flimsy. But no, it's pretty solid. I like the chair a lot. But yeah, you in terms of storage in this mode, obviously the null rays, or you know, whichever set of null rays you want, can store on the jet itself. I'm just going to put the ones on there that you know, that are originally supposed to be on there. They also do have a storage space on the back of the chair. You can plug in the null rays like that. But I you know, since he's in the jet mode, we'll just put those on the jet mode itself. The crown, it's got a little hole right there that corresponds to a little cross-shaped tab right on the top of the throne here that you can just plug in like that. It doesn't stay on super great, but I don't know. I don't know how much I'm going to use this storage feature anyway. Yeah, it doesn't. You can kind of get it to stay, but it pops off pretty easily. Either with or without the null rays attached, that just has this little fold down pink piece on the shoulder pads here, so you can attach the null rays. How they want you to store this is there's these holes right in there. I don't know if you can see it with the light there. Yeah, there you go. There's these holes in the back there that are just going to plug into the little tabs here where they'll plug into where the shoulder pads will plug into the shoulders in robot mode. They tab them in like that. Since they want you to store these null rays on the back here, they want you to plug it in like that. So these are kind of sticking out of the back. But if you have those on the jet, then you can just, you know, take these off, store the shoulder pads back here, which can be kind of annoying. You just kind of have to line it up because the purple piece is on a hinge. So it can be kind of hard to plug in. So you just kind of have to line it up loosely and then get your finger on the purple piece itself and plug that in, which can be kind of a pain, but not too bad. And then you can just plug these where the other null rays are supposed to sit. And then for this middle peg right here, you can peg in the cape, which you know, does show from the back a little bit. Kind of looks like the chair is wearing a cape, but either way, it's cool that it has a place to store all those accessories. But Really, I mean, in terms of display, like I'm just gonna display him with all that stuff on. I didn't expect any of those things to like store on the jet mode properly, but it's cool if you want to just play with Starscream. Like I guess if you missed out on the Earthrise one and you just kind of wanted the figure, it's cool that that kind of all compactly stores in and of itself. To compare this Starscream with the original Earthrise Starscream, just so we can see some of the subtle differences here. There's not a ton that's different. The most obvious things is one, the tail fins don't have that red and white detail that the original one had, which is kind of a shame. But whatever. And then this one has an extra painted detail of having these two kind of gunmetal gray panels picked out in the middle, which is fine. I guess it adds some detail. I'd sort of rather the the tail fin detail than these, but whatever. The Decepticon symbols on the wings on the new one are a little bit bigger, and that's mostly it for this mode. The shade of plastic, I don't know if you can really tell on camera here, but the shade of plastic on the Studio Series one is very, 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 very slightly darker, and something about it just really makes it catch like the panel lining detail a lot better on this one. It's, well, not a lot better, a little bit better, I should say. I don't know if that shows up on camera a lot. Yeah, it kind of does. You can kind of see just like the subtle difference in the plastic color kind of makes you see all the picked out detail on the panels a little bit nicer. It makes it look a little bit nicer. I don't know. I still think generally I prefer the original just because it has the extra red and white line on the tail fins there themselves. But, you know, they both look pretty good. All things considered, it's still mostly just the same jet mode. Here he is with Thundercracker and Skywarp, just so you can see what the three of them look like together. I guess I'll get more of a bird's eye shot so you can actually see them. I will say, like, you know, the one benefit of not having the extra tail detail there is it does match their jets a little bit more, since they didn't bother to put any similar detail like that on Thundercracker or Skywarp. So if you want them to match a little bit better, I guess you could do that. You could say that, but I still prefer the red detail there myself. And then just for a standard size comparison, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Obviously not really in very good scale, but that's nothing new with jets versus car transformers. But yeah, the majority of the fun with this guy really is in robot mode, so let's just get into that. Obviously, you want to take off the null rays. It's the same exact transformation as the original Earthrise Starscream, so if you have any version of that mold, you definitely know what you're getting into here. The wings are on double hinges here. You just want to fold them up like that. And yeah, with the different varieties of these mold, I've found, you know, kind of a huge variance in how well the wings stay on. And this one's okay, but obviously you can see it comes off a little easier there than some other ones. You want to take these wings here and fold them up like that. You want to take the crotch piece and fold it up like that. So you can take the shins and fold them down. Then just untab the legs from the back here and double hinge the legs out like that. Then we can separate the legs. And then you want to make sure that there's a little tab on the blue piece on the hinge for the knee there that goes into the back of the gray piece. So you want to make sure that that tabs in. And once that tabs in, then you can take the shin piece and plug it back into that blue piece. So just do that on both sides. Come on, there we go. You can fold that piece back down. You want to untab the tail wing here and just fold it down like that on the ankle tilt, and then rotate it up like that. Rotate back the heel, rotate up the toe, and there you pretty much have the feet all done. Then you want to take the whole body section here, again, just like every other version of this mold, and kind of pull it out like that, fold out the arms, take the nose cone, untab it, rotate it around on this armature, plug it back in like that, and then you can bring this piece back up. Again, make sure that the arm pieces kind of lock into this front panel. I find that it's sort of hit or miss whether this actually locks in on this side, on this particular use of the mold. Like it kind of comes apart like that. It's kind of subtle, so, it kind of comes apart like that. It's kind of subtle, so it doesn't matter so much, but it's a little bit annoying. Then for the arms here, you just want to unfold them. Oh, gosh, it's really stuck in there. Unfold them like that, rotate them out, close the arm panel back up, and then fold down the hands, and do that on both sides, just like that. Then take the nose cone here, unplug it from the head, and bring it onto the back. And then obviously you can tilt the wings back. And there you have Starscream in his base robot mode. Now, obviously, you can give him his null rays, just like you could before. They just plug in the same way onto the shoulders, just like before. In terms of articulation, he's obviously the same as every other use of this mold that we've got so far. Ball joint at the head, shoulders can swivel outward and then out like that. Bicep swivel, a little over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. The one new added bit of articulation that he does have is he's got the only new sculpting on this whole figure, I mean, aside from, like, you know, the new parts, is his hands can open and close. They can't rotate or anything like that, but, you know, they can have a bit more of like a candid open pose. And that's a kind of nice touch. I generally prefer the closed hands myself, but, you know, just to have there be something different about the figure, that's kind of nice. Nothing at the waist. The hips can obviously rotate as a bicep swivel, or bicep. I always mess those up. Thigh swivel. If you tilt this piece forward, you can bring the leg forward and back only about that much, out to the side about that far. He's got a pretty good knee bend just because of, you know, the shape of his lower leg there. And then obviously that ankle tilt. And then you can tilt the wings back and forth. So aside from the hands, pretty much the same as the original version of this mold. And speaking of the original version, before we get all of his stuff on, here he is with the original Starscream. It's kind of like a spot the differences kind of thing. Like, there's not much different about them, but there are a couple tiny things. Obviously the hands is one thing. I mean, all the stuff that I said from jet mode that you can see, like the fins and then the bigger Decepticon symbol. The one thing I did notice is that on his shins here, this little bit is not painted where it was on the original. So, you know, really nothing major. For the most part, they look pretty much the same. There's like slight hue differences in the blues and the grays and the reds and stuff like that. But for the most part, pretty much looks like the same figure. To bring on the accessories here, we can show off how all of this stuff incorporates. There goes the crown flying off. The crown, we'll start with that. Easy, just tabs right onto his head. I'm sort of concerned because I'm pretty sure, like, Starscream's head is painted, and I'm not sure, like, if that's the best thing long-term for this figure, to have this kind of, like, you know, stuck on there like that. Like, it might cause the paint to chip if you leave that on there for a while and then take it off. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully that won't happen, but, you know, it is something I'm slightly worried about. His head sculpt is the exact same as the original one, so if you want to put the crown on the original Starscream, and really any of this stuff, it all works on him and any other version of this mold. Again, the only remolded part is the hands, and then strangely, I found that, like, if you open up the body here, these little, like, pegs are a little bit longer than they were on the original. They don't even peg into anything, so I think that they're just like kind of an extended bit for the pin that attaches it in to go a little deeper. Not sure why they did that, but okay, it's just something that I noticed. Oh God, get him back here. There we go. So yeah, that's how you put the crown on. For the cape, you pretty much just like fold up the nose cone and plug it into the hole that's on his back, which again is, you know, I'm going to keep saying this, it's the same on all of the versions of this mold, so it will work on any of them, but you just plug it in like that, already looking pretty cool. For the shoulder pads here, which are going to be kind of a pain to get out of here, maybe, I guess not. Well, obviously you have to take off the null rays, and then we'll put these off to the side because then we want to use the other null rays here. Again, just fold down this little pink piece, and then you can plug in the new null rays to that, just like that. And then the purple piece, which is on a hinge, will plug onto onto the shoulder itself, which can be kind of a pain sometimes, but once you get it on, it's obviously quite solid. So we'll just do that on both sides. They're the exact same piece, so I think that you can put it on either side. I don't think there's any asymmetry, at least not that I can tell. Well, actually, no, that's not true. It's there's a slight raised piece here, so I think I put that on the wrong side. There we go. Good thing I noticed that, because you can see there's more detail on the front here. There we go. That's on the right side now. And then, but the null rays themselves, I think, are symmetrical. Yeah, okay, so they can go on either side. Just want to plug it in like that. And there we have Starscream fully decked out in his coronation mode with the hat and, well, hat, crown and the cape and the shoulder pads. And that looks really cool. I like that they added this bit here with the shoulder pads with the null rays like that, so that you can still have him like pointing his arm out to the side, and then the null rays don't get in the way. I think that's a really clever system with the hinge there. The shoulder pads themselves are also on a hinge, so you can tilt those up and down. The cape, like I said, has that unfolding bit. Now, what's kind of weird about this and kind of unfortunate is if you just want it to be like a wider cape, it's asymmetrical because the peg for the cape is still just on the one side. So like when it's like this, it's pretty much in the middle. But when you fold it out, then it's no longer in the middle at all. So that means that like the cape gets weirdly lopsided on the right. For some poses, that doesn't matter so much because like really what that's meant for is for him like, folding his arm out this way and kind of swishing the cape out to the side, and it works for that, where it's kind of like one side is just extended. But if you want it to be symmetrical, you do have to have it in the more like closed position. It's like, it's not a huge difference, but I don't know. To me, that's definitely noticeable how there's more on this side. Not a big deal. And again, with like a fabric cape, like that could happen anyway, just depending how the wind is blowing. So it's not a big deal, but just something, again, that's worth mentioning. In terms of the throne usage, obviously you can't have the cape on if you want him sitting on the throne, just because there's not, the cape isn't actually made out of fabric, so it won't fold out of the way for that. I find that like some figures really sit on this throne a lot better than he does. Like you can get him on there and there, there's room for the wings and stuff like that. But just because of the way the figure is constructed, like his actual like butt, he's got this extra panel down here. So he's not actually sitting on the throne. From most angles, you can't really tell. So it's fine. But I don't know. He doesn't sit quite as firmly on there as I would like. But, that still looks relatively good. Let's get the throne off for now. We'll bring that back in a bit, but I want to do some more comparisons. So here he is again with his regular self, just so you can see with the armor, without the armor. And again, you could put all that stuff on him if you really wanted to, or any of the other Seekers. Well, I guess you couldn't put the crown on the cone heads, but everything else I think should work just fine. I guess some of the cone heads, like extra wing things, might get in the way of the cape. I don't know, you could test it out, but that's what they look like together. Here he is again with Thundercracker and Skywarp. So you can see what he looks like with them, even though by this time in the movie they're both dead, so whatever. Well, not dead, but transformed into into new people. Here he is with Megatron, who's definitely not Megatron by the time he's that time in the movie, but again, whatever. Here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe for that standard size comparison. Here he is with Netflix Soundwave. And last but not least, here he is with Kingdom Galvatron, the one who kills him while he's in this mode. Spoiler alert, I guess, for a decades-old movie, but they look pretty good together, I think. Now, bringing back on the throne, if you're curious about Megatron and Galvatron here, Megatron works okay on the throne. Again, he's got kind of a big backpack too, so you can get him on there, but his arms kind of like awkwardly sit above the proper arm holds. So like if you want him to actually sit on the chair, you've got to have his arms all the way out to the side, which looks a little bit strange. There's probably a bit more configuring you can do, but he kind of fits. There's some maneuvering, but it still looks relatively okay. I think Galvatron is actually the one who looks the best on this throne, even though if if this is really the command chair of the Nemesis, then I don't think Galvatron would really be sitting on it in any context, because he's got his own ship by that point. But I think he looks pretty good. You just have to kind of unpeg the arm cannon here so it sits a bit more straight down. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And that's kind of how I've had it displayed on my shelf, not with Starscream at all, just with having Galvatron sit in the throne, because I think that's a pretty cool look. But either way, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this set. It's a pretty cool figure. I'm a little bit salty about you know, basically having to buy another Earthrise Starscream, even though it's a figure that I already had, and paying a leader class price for it. Because, like, really, if there was some way to buy the set without Starscream and just with all the added bits, like, that would have been preferable. Obviously, I get why they didn't do that, but you know, it does bum me out a little bit that I had to, you know, like I've already owned like 6 of this mold as different characters, and now I own 2 Starscreams. I guess it's nice to be able to have one Starscream who's, you know, with all the other Decepticons in his regular mode and this Coronation one separately on a different shelf, you know, together. Because if I didn't have that, then realistically, you know, all these parts would just sit in a box somewhere. So it's still better overall that I can display both of them. But, you know, it does kind of take some of the excitement out of getting this set when the main figure itself is something that I've by and large already completely experienced before. But either way, I do think that all of the added bits on him work pretty well. He looks good in the cape. I like the shoulder pads and the added function there, and the crown works, even if I am a little bit worried about, you know, it pulling the paint off of his head at some point. And the thing with the cape where it can't be like symmetrical when it's outspread is a little weird, but you know, it's fine. I get why it works that way. And the throne, I think, is a really nice piece. I like this a lot. Again, like, it's a little hollow in the back, but like, if that really bothers you, like, I'm sure that you could probably 3D print some part that would just fill that in. It wouldn't be that hard. And again, like, if you're really having it facing the wall, you're not really going to notice that. But, you know, and it does need that for the shoulder pad storage anyway. But either way, yeah, it's a pretty cool set, and I'm definitely happy that I picked it up at the end of the day. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Studio Series 86 Coronation Starscream.